So again, good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to welcome you to the 2020 UCD Conway Festival for Research and Innovation. So when the festival committee met to set a date for this year's event, nobody could have guessed that this week would actually be the first week of remote undergraduate teaching in our current lockdown scenario. Some of you may remember that the first Conway Festival, held back in 2001, was cut short due to the tragic events of 9/11 in New York. I wonder how many of you dialing in today will look back in 20 years' time to remember the one that went virtual due to the COVID pandemic. So regardless of how we came together, this is a fantastic opportunity for us as an institute to share the stories of our research journeys and findings we have uncovered so far. So I would encourage you to zoom into as many sessions as possible over the next 2 days. Please use the chat box and the Q&A functions to join the discussions. Now, I want to take this opportunity to thank the Festival Committee chaired by Dr. David Gomez for rising to the challenge of turning around this 2-day event from the planned in-person format to this remote version. And again, I want to pay tribute to the amazing Conway Directorate staff and the investigators and everybody within the Conway team that have made this event possible. And I particularly want to just acknowledge Elaine Quinn and Mark Crowley and Orla Murphy, specifically within the Conway Directorate team. Now, COVID has certainly changed the way we work. Location and diary conflicts are no longer obstacles to participation. So while Professor Orla Feely, Vice President for Research, Innovation and Impact, is unable to join us on today to open today's proceedings, she kindly took the time earlier this week to record this message. So in the words of the late Gay Byrne, roll it there, Roisin.
It's a great honour and a pleasure to welcome you today to the Conway Festival for 2020. Obviously, this has been a year like no other, and I think we've seen great challenges, but also great commitment by our research community, and those in the Conway have been very much on the front line of the research effort about the COVID pandemic. We've seen interruptions to research, but we've seen enormous professionalism in the way that people have brought the research back on stream again. We've seen people willingly devote their time and their facilities and their equipment to the frontline staff in the hospitals. And we've seen particular research projects, many of them coming out of the Conway, like Nicola Fletcher and Vin Meyer's work on detecting COVID in sewage, or the work by Patricia Maguire and Fanula Leonla and Barry Cavan, the Cocoon Project. Again, really, really exciting projects that show exactly why we need research of the type that is undertaken in the Conway, and why it is so important to have that resource within the country. I want to call out in particular a couple of people. Liam Gallagher, whose leadership of Conway throughout this period and more generally has been so important in delivering outstanding research and an outstanding community of researchers. And Liam's leadership work nationally in the Lab R&D Product Solutions Group, which has been really, really important for the country at this time. I personally saw some of the direct interventions that he made with very significant impact. So thank you to Liam. Thank you also, of course, to Michael O'Sullivan, whose influence on the Conway for so many years it would be impossible to convey in my few words, but he did a great job himself of speaking at his retirement celebration in Conway some months back. And Michael has been such an important person in bringing the Conway to where it is today, and we want to thank him for his very many contributions. As with Michael's retirement, it's an awful shame that the big community events, such as that event and such as this event, can no longer take place in person. So we always enjoy the networking and the chance to talk back and forth between people and those serendipitous exchanges that you get. It's an awful shame not to have them, but once again, it's a commitment to people's resourcefulness that we are able to run this online with such success. So thanks all for organising this. Thanks to all who contributed. I think there are something like 95 abstracts submitted, again, in what are very unusual and difficult circumstances. So I hope that you all greatly enjoy the event. Wish you every continuing success with your research and innovation. Thank you.